Thanks for joining me again on A+ Maths for some lessons on how to do factorising. As I promised you, I'm going to do a lesson on more difficult factorising. Some of you won't want to watch this, it might be a little bit scary. And for the rest of you who are willing to have a bit of a challenge and who can cope with the extra difficulty, then good luck and enjoy. Alright, let's get started today on our harder factorising. So I've got 10 examples that I'd like to go through with you. Here they are. If you want to have a go at them first on your own, good luck. Otherwise, let's continue. X to the fourth minus y to the fourth. Don't forget our flow chart. Always take out a common factor first. We don't have any common factors here. Our next point is there are either 2 terms, 3 terms, or 4 terms. Here there are 2 terms, which means it's going to be the difference of 2 squares. I won't skip any steps so that I try not to lose any of you along the way. So I'll write all my working. I've written out x squared all squared minus y squared all squared. Don't forget when you have brackets you multiply the indices. I now have it in the right form for my formula, x squared minus y squared equals the first bit minus the second bit and the first bit plus the second bit. Now this is a little different because I still have the difference of 2 squares in that bracket over there, which needs to be factorised out as well. So I need to have another line where I do x minus y, x plus y. That's just the factorised part. And don't forget to write down this bit again. And don't make the common mistake of using the difference of 2 squares for this bit as well. That doesn't have a difference of 2 squares because it's a plus, and the difference of 2 squares is always going to be a minus. Here again, 2 terms, no common factor, which makes it the difference of 2 squares. I'll colour code it like I did last time. I have the first bit minus the second bit. So I'm going to put my brackets down and I'm going to try to do it as logically as I can. I need the first bit, which is x plus y. I'll put that in both. I need this, I'll underline it, that's the first bit. Then I need the second bit, x minus y. And one is a minus and one is a plus. Remembering that it doesn't matter which one's which. But don't forget, I did warn you in the last video that when you have more than one term in the difference of 2 squares, you have to remember to put brackets around your factorisation. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting it wrong. Because this minus here, when I expand these brackets, it will change the minus here to a plus. It's really not a problem for the rest of the question, but it is a problem there. So we put the brackets everywhere just to make sure that we don't get it wrong. Now I need to expand the brackets. X plus y minus x plus y, because minus 1 times x is minus x, and minus 1 times minus y is plus y. And then I expand these brackets, which everything is pluses in the middle, so I don't have a problem. And then of course I need to collect like terms. X minus x and y plus y is 2y. X plus x is 2x. And y minus y also cancels. So I'm left with 2y times 2x, 4xy. Number 3. No like terms. There are 4 terms, so I know it's got to be done in pairs. So we will try to do the first 2 and the last 2. I have a minus b, that's the difference of 2 squares. And I can do a plus b here. But that isn't factorised, so there is actually nothing in common. So that can't be right. I need to have a bracket over here so that I can factorise it out. But if I put a bracket there, I've now taken a minus outside the bracket. So I have to change the sign inside so that minus 1 times minus b gives me that plus b up there. That's really tricky, isn't it? Now I can see that I have common factors of a minus b. So that's what I need to factorise out, a minus b. And I need to write down what's left. A plus b minus, well, nothing left over here, so we put a 1. If you put brackets around that, that's okay, and then you would just expand them in the next line. I just don't think it's necessary. Over here, no like terms. 3 terms, that makes it a trinomial. It's a monic trinomial because there's a 1 in front of the x squared. But the first thing that I notice here, and it's the first time this has happened to us, is that it's in the wrong order. So the first thing I need to do is to put it all into the right order. That means the x comes first, the x comes second, and the number comes last. We actually don't know how to factorise with a minus out the front. So let's factorise out the minus so that it's not a problem anymore. Let's make it the way that we want it. Don't let the teachers try to confuse us. So we're going to factorise out a minus. Remember there's a 1. That becomes x squared. Minus 1 times minus x gives me plus x. And minus 1 times minus 72. The minus is just going to stay outside the bracket. And I don't need to worry about him, I just need to keep writing him down. And I factorise what's inside the brackets. I need a number that multiplies to give 72 and adds to give minus 1. 9 and 8 are looking good. Minus 9 plus 8. And we can always check as usual. Minus 9 times 8 is minus 72, which is minus 72. And if we want to check it at the top, don't forget that you've got a minus out the front, so it would end up being a plus. All right, here's another one, number 5. X squared plus 8x plus 16 minus y squared. No common factors. There is 4 terms. Naturally, we would think to do it in pairs. Let's give it a go. First 2 and last 2. X outside of x plus 8 plus 4 minus y, 4 plus y. Hopefully, you're thinking to yourself, this isn't right because there's no common factor. Oh no, what have I done wrong? Obviously, we don't need to do the first 2 and the last 2. That's not the right thing to do here. So we need to do one of these tricky things that I told you might happen, where they've asked us to actually factorise something other than the first 2 and the last 2. So we actually need to turn on our thinking head and figure out what have they done. What can I actually factorise here that's not the first 2 and the last 2? Well, I can't do those 2 because they don't factorise. I could potentially do the first and the last, but then I get x plus y, x minus y, and that's not going to help me either. This is actually a really tricky little question. They pop up every now and again. I really like these. You're supposed to do it as 3. And this question here is a trinomial. And then it will become the difference of 2 squares. How tricky is that? Wouldn't that be a good question if you got that in your test and then you got it out? So I now have a monic trinomial, which is x minus y squared. I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply together to give 16 and add to give 8. 4 and 4 plus 4 plus 4, which is nice because I can write that as x plus 4 all squared minus y squared. No great surprise to us, hopefully now, that it becomes the difference of 2 squares. And I have x plus 4 minus y and x plus 4 plus y. How did you like that? Did you all understand that? That's a really nice question. Hopefully I haven't scared too many of you away, but I did warn you that this was a harder factorising and that these would be tricky. Number 6. No common factors. There are 3 terms, so this is probably a trinomial. There is no number out the front, so it's probably a monic trinomial. Can you spot it? Something squared plus 3 lots of something plus a number. That is an exact trinomial. We need to write it like this. Usually we would put x and x, but this time we have x plus 1, because that's the bit that's squared. And we need to multiply to give 4 and add to give 3. 4 times 1 plus 4 minus 1. And I need to simplify what's in the brackets by collecting like terms. They cancel, and I think it's nicer to put the x at the front. That one wasn't as difficult as the one before it, but it was very difficult to spot. And these questions, that's really what makes these questions difficult, is that they're difficult to spot. Number 7. Again, check for common factors first. I do have a common factor of 3, so I want to take him out first. What is left? X plus 4 all squared minus 3 9s are 27. I now have 2 terms, so I should be looking for the difference of 2 squares. Hopefully we all can spot that 9 is 3 squared, and I'm going to be left with x plus 4 minus 3 and x plus 4 plus 3. And as usual, simplify inside the brackets. Are they getting better? You feeling a little bit better with these? We're up to number 8 now, almost at the end. Remember, these are tricky questions. These will be the most difficult questions you will ever see in factorising, probably. There's not too much more difficult that will come your way. If I have a look at this, no common factors. We know that there are 4 terms, so we're looking to do it in pairs. But it is the harder factorising video, and so you're not going to expect it to be normal. If I try to do the first 2 and the last 2, it won't work. Even if I try to mix and match them, it doesn't work. If you're thinking, wait a minute, didn't I do a question before where I had a trinomial and the difference of 2 squares? Maybe that's it. If you're thinking that, then you'd be right. But this time, it's the last 3 that we want to match up. So we want to have x to the power of 4. I don't want a minus there if I'm factorising out a trinomial. So take out the minus, then factorise. Multiplies to give 1, adds to give 2. 1 times 1 is 1, plus 1 times plus 1 is plus 2, and it should come as no great surprise to us that we're left with x squared all squared minus x plus 1 all squared, which of course is the difference of 2 squares. X squared minus x plus 1 plus x plus 1. Of course we're going to put it in brackets because there's more than one term. And I just expand my brackets so that it looks nicer. How did you find that? These are really tricky questions, aren't they? Good on you for watching and giving them a go. All right, lucky last 2 questions. I'll try to make these ones a little bit less difficult. So we have 2 terms, difference of 2 squares. Hopefully everybody realises y squared, take away 16, plus 16. Don't forget to check. That continues to be the difference of 2 squares. So we need to continue y minus 4, y plus 4. That's the first bracket factorised. And then don't forget to write down y squared plus 16, which is often what people do. They're so busy factorising the first term that they forget to write down the y squared plus 16. But that's not going to be you, is it? Hopefully. Over here, no common factors. 3 terms, must be a trinomial. There's a 1 in the front, so it's monic. We're lucky. Y squared plus 4 plus 2. So we ended up on a pretty easy note, hopefully. All right, good luck with more factorising that you get from school. And hopefully I'll see you again soon.